Counterpoint Research has just released some of their smartphone market share stats for the first quarter of 2022, and for the first time in the history of Xiaomi's existence, the company has lost market share. And it's pretty clear that with Xiaomi's recent troubles in India and even Xiaomi's recent troubles in China, the company seems to be on a bit of a rocky path. So in today's video, I wanna break down what some of the issues that Xiaomi has had, why I think that is, and maybe where the company is going. Now, my name is Mitchell. I'm fluent in tech, so you don't need to be. And I hate to say it, but Xiaomi seems to be headed down. Now, if you've been living under a rock, Xiaomi got in trouble with the Indian government for some very money laundering-esque things. To keep it short, Xiaomi was buying components from other parts of the Xiaomi brand at higher costs so they could have a higher operating cost in India, lower profits, and pay less in taxes to the Indian government. Recently, as in this week, Xiaomi's had issues in China with the Chinese government having some antitrust issues. Essentially, because Xiaomi is so heavily invested in over 400 companies like Yeelight, the company that makes that light bulb, Roborock, the Chinese government is investigating them for antitrust stuff. Basically, you own too many sectors of the technology market. Needless to say, this all comes on the heels of Xiaomi's market share and Xiaomi's overall global sales kind of slumping for the first time in their history. I think some of this is related to the recent pandemic that we have, and let me explain. Now, when I had my Poco F2 Pro, it was one of the cheapest devices with the Snapdragon 865. I loved it. I thought it was a great device. I thought that the price point that it was coming in at under $500 was a very reasonable price point for a glass and metal build design, Super AMOLED display, pop-up camera, okay camera hardware, but really it was kind of held back by MIUI. Now, in the past, Xiaomi claimed only a 5% profit margin on their devices. And as of more recently, I find that extremely difficult to really accept because of the tech that they're packing in some of these devices. From the Poco F2 Pro up until now, they've had the Poco F3, I think the Poco F4 is gonna have essentially the same hardware. The Xiaomi Mi 12X is again still packing a Snapdragon 865 based SoC, and these SoCs are becoming cheaper and cheaper in price. Now, this is becoming an issue because in the past, we were getting the newest hardware, and the newest hardware on the SoC front meant that we were going to have the best user experience. But since the Snapdragon 865 came out, most consumers, including myself, find that that level of SoC and GPU performance has been more than satisfactory. In fact, I don't really see the use case for a Snapdragon 888 or a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. When I used the Xiaomi Mi 11T Pro that I had for 24 hours, it was quick, but there was nothing that was remarkably different with it in regards to just how I used it and the device that it was to use compared to any of the other devices I have. And MIUI was still a pain point, even though you guys know I like the features of MIUI. I like the customizations of MIUI. I know MIUI like the back of my hand, but that doesn't change the fact that a lot of people still have issues with it. Another thing I consider is that since the Snapdragon 865 came out, we've had a lot of SoCs that have similar or slightly better performance that are non-premium SoCs from the likes of MediaTek, and even Exynos has gotten better. The Tensor chip that's in my Google Pixel is more than fast enough for everything I need my Pixel to do. And the thirst for more power hasn't really been there. And really, we've seen companies differentiating their products with software. Now, I think this emphasis on software has to do with the recent pandemic. Because the world shut down for a year and a half, 2 years, people did not have the same kind of expendable income to go out and upgrade their phone year after year. And in this time, we saw more and more manufacturers selling their devices on software. Samsung coming out boasting 4 years of software updates. Google, when the Pixel was announced, boasting their device support long-term for software. Even Xiaomi, when they released the Mi 12 series, promising 3 years of software updates. Even if they're kind of lying about it, as in the Mi 12X was launched on Android 11, Android 12 was out already, Xiaomi promised 3 software updates. Joke's on you, because Android 12 is available already. You're getting 1 software update that should have been on the device beforehand. Xiaomi's still not giving you 3 years of software updates. Rant aside, hint, hint, they launched the regular Mi 12 with Android 12. But even Xiaomi has been trying to make their software seem more appealing and make their hardware seem like it's going to be getting supported for a longer period of time. So not only do consumers care about software, but evidently Xiaomi knows that it's something that they need to market along with all of the other companies now, because we are buying cell phones less often. Global smartphone sales are not increasing exponentially year over year the way they were in the past, and people want to know that they're going to get the newest features on their year-old device. But really, how does this all come back to Xiaomi's market share? Well, this is how. Since the 865, consumers seem to be pretty happy with that level of performance. Devices that Xiaomi shipped with the 865 being the Poco F2 Pro, they are now essentially at end of life in regards to software support. They will be getting one of their last Android updates, and that's going to be it. And on top of that, Xiaomi saves money on software. Anyone that's had a Xiaomi phone can tell you that their devices have bugs. So while Xiaomi might claim only a 5% profit margin on devices, obviously their developers are where they're saving that money. And as society, as people, as consumers move to holding onto devices for a longer period of time, things like poor software updates hurt. They make consumers feel like they spent money on something and they're not getting that full value out of it because, hey, my 2.5-year-old Poco F2 Pro with the Snapdragon 865 has the same SoC as some of Xiaomi's newer phones. Why am I not getting these updates and these features that the new devices are when the hardware is the same? And that's just for the consumer market that cares about software updates. Cares and parts availability globally. Because it's such a globally recognized brand, yet their devices are not sold equally in all markets, finding replacement and repair parts for these devices can be a headache. And now that we want to hold on to our phones for a longer period of time, we see that Xiaomi's cutting corners to give us the newest hardware at a lower price does not equate into a better long-term user experience. I've told you guys the story about my friend with the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro that I reviewed last year. His camera broke. He went into a Xiaomi repair center owned by Xiaomi here in Vietnam. The Mi 10T Pro was officially sold here in Vietnam. They could not get the repair parts for his device. They ended up breaking his Mi 10T Pro. They gave him a Mi 11T Pro, and the Mi 11T Pro had significantly worse cameras than his Mi 10T Pro did. And this is a place where their devices are officially sold. He did not import it from AliExpress. When he wanted to get a new charger for his device, he could not get the OEM charger. He could not get the original charger for his Mi 10T Pro with the original cable. And he had to end up spending like close to $40 on a USB-C power delivery charger for his Mi 11T Pro in a place where Xiaomi officially sells and supports these devices, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So, as consumers, it seems like the consumer base is starting to understand that that really cheap hardware price point that Xiaomi sells their devices on does not mean a better overall long-term user experience. I do not hate Xiaomi phones. I like Xiaomi as a brand. I have a ton of Xiaomi products. I am getting a Xiaomi Mi Band 7. It's on the way, getting shipped to me. But their smartphone strategy of giving you the best hardware at the cheapest price means that you sacrifice everything else. Even to this day, with Xiaomi's charging standard, there is no Xiaomi certification to go buy brand new replacement Xiaomi charging cables that are compatible with Xiaomi's charging. If you have an Oppo phone, if you have a OnePlus phone, you can go get VOOC or Super VOOC cables. If you have an iPhone, you can just get USB-C power delivery. If you have a Samsung, it's just USB-C power delivery. Pixel, USB-C power delivery. If you have a BBK Oppo phone, Super VOOC. And if you have a Xiaomi phone, you have to know that your device needs to have a 6 amp cable that supports this many watts, and if you get a 3 amp cable, it's just a mess. As always, it's been Mitchell. I'm fluent in tech, so you don't need to be. Peace.